Happy Mercury Day, Collective. I am here outside in my backyard, and I would like to do a Gemini new moon spread. I really like doing card pulls outside. I find that there are obviously no screens, um, no distractions that the inside sort of presents around every corner. The energy is at its most free flowing outside, and I'm surrounded by all of these living things and plants and bunnies and lightning bugs. So the energy is, I guess you could say, the purest it could be outside. So I find that the best card pulls often happen out in my backyard. Um, if you're new here, welcome. I really appreciate you stumbling upon my little channel. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you for sticking around and following along on this journey. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate it if you would go to the channel page and hit subscribe. And that way you can maybe learn a little bit more about astrology, especially if you're just dipping your toe in the water. This channel aims to um, make astrology useful to you in your everyday life. I realize that not everybody is going to learn all the ins and outs, nor do you really need to, but I hope with this channel to take little pieces here and there and to show ways that it can help you feel more connected to the natural world and come back to yourself, like come back to your own body and your relationship with your immediate surroundings. And I find that that helps not only um, sometimes in healing, but also in repairing your relationships with others in ways that you maybe haven't had an opportunity to do yet. And so that's what I find astrology can be very helpful for. It's like a tool for self-awareness, and in becoming more self-aware and accepting ourselves, it becomes a lot easier to do that for other people. So I don't think I need to go into the details of why that is probably a much needed thing nowadays. So without further ado, I want to do this fun little nighttime spread just on this new moon energy. I posted a video not that long ago. It's a really great comprehensive lesson, less than 25 minutes. And that's where this chart comes in. It's a chart of the new moon tomorrow morning, 8:37 a.m. East Coast time, the United States. That's when the new moon will perfect in Gemini. And so I wanted to do just like a quick card pull on this energy. So that's why I have this chart out, and I have a little astro oracle card that did not come out on its own. I just like pulled that one for illustrative purposes. And so I just wanted to get out some of my favorite decks to see what comes out for this new moon in Gemini energy that we are just hours away from. I guess you might say, I think a little less than 12 hours out to the new moon from the moment I'm recording this. So this is probably a message that you might find is relevant, well, whenever you come across it, honestly. But particularly just for this transitional period that we're in. We've got a ton of planets in Gemini right now. The sun and the moon and Mercury and Jupiter and Venus. It's quite a bit of activity in Gemini. So the video that I recorded earlier today explains why these lunation cycles have been so unusual for the first half of 2024. And it ends up being sort of like this comprehensive little crash course in basic interpretations of the layout of a birth chart wheel or event chart, as the case may be. And so I think you might find that to be a really interesting thing to watch. Oh, there we go. Hidden depths. You only see the surface. Look beyond. And at the bottom, self-care. Tend to your garden. So, as you might be familiar if you've watched another card pull, I like to look at the underlying energy, the bottom of the deck, as sort of like a context, like why am I here for this message? So um, you might say that to start off with, in our little secret garden deck, we've got the issue of self care, tending to your own garden, but then the message that came out, hidden depths, which is very much in line with well, you might say Pluto, which is making a sign based trine. Pluto is in Aquarius right now, 1 degree, 50 minutes, something like that, around 2 degrees, hovering between 1 and 2 degrees of Aquarius. So it is making a sign based trine to all of those planets I just mentioned: Jupiter, Mercury, Sun, Moon, Venus. So that might be a relevant thing to consider because after all of those planets in the fast moving energy of Gemini, well, Gemini doesn't really concern itself with the depths. It is a fast, curious, on to the next thing, in the blink of an eye energy, which is fun. It's great dabbling energy, but so far we've got a suggestion that hidden depths in the issue of self care are related themes in this message here for the new moon in Gemini. You get too caught up in the fast paced energy of Gemini. Um, I think you can feel pretty quickly how your self care routines are negatively impacted. I mean, there's nothing more Gemini than, like, I would say TikTok energy, like quick little snippets, and it's kind of irresistible because you want to take in all this different information, and that's fun. I get it. We live in a very fast paced digital age, but it's also not incorrect to say that I don't really think our brains were meant to cover like 20 different subject matters in an hour or less. So um, maybe that's a message. So we've got the poet. Now, this is Kim Krantz's archetypes deck. I really like this deck. In my other card pull I did recently, I used her alchemy deck. And this is the first deck I got of Kim Krantz's the archetypes deck. So we're going to stick with the poet as our, I think we're just going to stick with this one here and then see what's on the bottom. The shapeshifter. Interesting. Got that underlying energy. And like, let's just look at the imagery of these cards. It's really interesting to see how they seem to relate to one another. In this poet, we've got this, like, these hands. Gemini does rule the hands. We've got this darkness around. It's reminding me of like Plutonian energy. We've got these birds kind of springing up from this darkness. It almost looks like it's almost like these hands are holding, like, I don't know if it would be like crystal ball or something. It's kind of ambiguous, but it seems like that's by design. We've got this, and then we've got the shapeshifter. Again, nebulous just in concept. I just think this is a really interesting, especially Gemini is, it's the twins. Gemini as an archetype is about duality. It is ruled by the planet Mercury, and Mercury is trickster energy. It's quick, it's nimble, and it is adaptable. Gemini is mutable air, and another way to put that is adaptable, highly adaptable. And so you might say shapeshifter energy as an underlying energy is right on point to come up. So we're going to leave that there. And then we're going to go to this Herb Crafters deck. I really like this. It's basically got all the traditional 78 tarot cards, like major and minor arcana, but it represents it in very different ways, using like the whole concept of like herbs and their symbolic significance. And so when we get our card from here, I will go, as I will with the Kim Krantz deck, to the guidebook and offer a little bit of insight on what the creator of the deck says about the energies that come up. These are really beautiful cards, especially if you are a plant lover like me and like love working with herbs and um, being inspired creatively by herbs and like even just visually, like these cards, herbs going beyond just flavors and cooking, but just like as materials to create with, herbs and plant materials. Well, there we go. Okay, so we've got the Madre of Air, Motherwort. Um, and I believe in this deck, the Madre of Air is the equivalent of, well, air is swords. So we know it's a swords card. I believe that this is the Queen of Swords energy. So this would be associated with air energy, like Gemini. Um, so we'll go to the guidebook and see what the book says about Madre of Air and the corresponding plant of Motherwort. The bottom of the deck, we've got the Hija of Earth, and it offers up linden as the plant, the symbolic representation here. So Earth, this is Pentacles energy, and I want to say Hija is we'll go to the book to confirm, but I want to say it's the Page energy, which is like would be like the Page of Pentacles. So we'll see. We'll go back and verify that in a moment. So we've got these two, and now we will round it out with my Aquarian Tarot deck to tie it all together. All right. Messages for the new moon in Gemini, please. All right. So to start, we've got Six of Swords. We've got Ace of Rods, which is like Ace of Wands. Because it fell out sideways, what I like to do is put it like this, what we would call the challenge position. It's not quite committed to being upright, but it's definitely not upside down. The challenge position. And the way I like to do cards is, it's not so significant what's like here, here, or here, past, present, future, however you want to look. Um, the cards that come out are concurrent energies, and I like to look at them as no matter which way they come out, all being subject at any moment to shift in how they are playing out in your life. So I find that to be kind of encouraging, though, because it reminds you that you are the master of these energies um, around you, whoever this message is for. And it's useful to have a way of reading them through the cards and using your mind to reshape your reality however you need to do it. So we're going to try to get one more card. If two fall out or more, then we'll just go with those. Usually find there's a reason for whatever happens to pop out. Messages for the new moon in Gemini, please. Okay. Temperance reversed. Anything else? All right. Bottom of the deck, we've got 10 of Pentacles in reverse. Okay, so let's start with just the basic outlook on these, going with the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith interpretation. So, Six of Swords, a six, knowing numerology, first of all, is very helpful to understanding the suits of traditional tarot, the minor arcana. Sixes are generally like a balanced energy. So, when we take the understanding of a six as balance, and then we couple it with sword energy, which is associated with the air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, um, your mental processes, like swords are thoughts and communications. So this in the upright would suggest like a place of mental balance, or at least striving to be in a place of mental balance. And in it, you know, you see somebody and they've got the swords, and they're moving to calmer waters. Like they're using their mental processes to go to a place of balance. And so this card is all about um, achieving or having the aim to achieve a state of mental balance. And it being in the upright, that's good. That suggests that like your mind is in the right place, um, or at least you see the importance of it being that way. And at least in the concurrent energies, interpreting these as concurrent energies, you are whoever this is for is you've got that covered so far. Now the Ace of Rods, this is the Ace of Wands. This is sort of like the spark of like passion, like you know, you associate wands or rods with the fire signs energy, which is like initiation, action, like the fire that like the spark that lights action and movement. So Ace of Rods or Ace of Wands, this would be associated with the fire signs of Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And so when we have it in the upright, this is sort of like a spark of a new passion or new idea. Um, Sort of like I've got this spark of inspiration and like I'm taking action on it, or I've got this moment of brilliance and I'm gonna take action. So when we put it in the challenge position, it's not really good or bad. It's almost like you've got this place of mental stability and balance, and you've almost like seen that as a necessary precursor to getting to the action stage of things, which, yeah, I think that's a pretty good line of thought. But it suggests with this in the challenge position that there's some sort of like barrier. There's something that's preventing it from being upright. And all I got to do really is go to this next card and the underlying to get like maybe a more full picture of why that would be. So temperance is a major arcana. Temperance is the energy of well, moderation. Like temperance is you might say patience would be like a synonymous way to put it, but temperance is moderation and like almost letting things flow in the natural course of time. Like some people like to say divine timing. I just like to put it as like the universe, just like the energies that are around us that we don't see. There are like sort of like surfing. Like there's a time to jump into the wave, and then there's a time to wait. Otherwise, like you're paddling, you're expending this like wand energy, um, and you're like swimming against the current, in other words. So this might suggest that like the reason that this is in the challenge position is because maybe you could stand to, from your place of mental balance, take a broader look at things and consider whether the energy is ripe um, for your action, if that makes sense. Like in temperance, in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, I really like it because it shows like this angelic figure. It's like an androgynous figure too. It's neither clearly a male or female. It's just like this figure, and it's got one foot, I believe, in water and one foot on land, which suggests sort of like an earthly, like pragmatic, like a grounding energy, but then like an intuitive understanding too. Like foot in the water would represent like in touch with the emotional aspect of things, like the intuitive, the felt side of things, the right brain of things. But then with a foot on land, with the earthly energies, like in the 3D world, like still realizing that with all of your otherworldly understandings and feelings and intuition, you still are limited by the reality and factors of the 3D world. But another thing about the traditional temperance card that I really like, if you look it up, you could just Google temperance card tarot, and it'll show you this traditional illustration I'm talking about. And it shows the figure holding like these two chalices, and one's like above the other, and it's got this like flow. It looks like the Aquarian zigzag glyph for water, and the flow is between these two cups, one higher than the other. But what's interesting is that it's not clearly like the water flowing from the top to the bottom chalice. It looks as if it's just flowing both ways. Like it's not clearly the water flowing from the top chalice to the bottom chalice. It's just this like Aquarian looking water glyph that exists between these two cups that looks like the water could easily be flowing from bottom to top, top to bottom. And symbolically speaking, of course, there are a lot of other elements on the card that are even more detailed, but I like that one because it's tending to suggest that like be patient, and it's almost like the seemingly impossible can become possible. Like what seems impossible now can seem the opposite way tomorrow. Like you might think that the water can only be flowing from the top chalice to the bottom chalice, but if you look closer, um, it could easily be flowing from the bottom to the top, and it's not up to you to understand how or why. But the idea of temperance is um, moderation in all things, not because there's some like um, moral value in just a moderate stance on things, but because you might find that the way you feel about the way something looks now um, can change entirely, even with all things remaining the same. You could actually look at the same set of circumstances differently if you just wait a little bit and like let things flow organically. Like let the timing of things and the natural flow, the natural waves carry you. And sometimes that requires you to slow down. And it feels we're all socialized to like, I mean, I know this just as well as whoever is listening. It almost feels like you're doing something wrong when you slow down. You almost feel, because it's like we've got this hustle culture and you need to like go, go, go. But sometimes like you have to really stop and consider like is this action, this passion, this insistence, this fire that I'm like turning the heat up on, am I just wasting the burn? Am I just like about to burn out by insisting on this action oriented approach, when really it's like the key here is like, this is your upright energy. This is the only upright energy out of all of this, I find really interesting. Um, and that suggests that your mind, from a place of balance, is like the starting point, the successful starting point for all other things. Like, so it looks like this is, you've got this covered, but it's like insisting upon action and like being so focused on outcomes when it might be premature of you, when maybe there's something to be gained um, in slowing down a little bit and like listening, like surrendering to the flow of things. And like this could be different for everyone, but when I go to the bottom of the deck, the underlying energy, and I'm to apply what I said earlier about why am I here for this reading, whoever is here for this reading, um, is focused ultimately on their 10 of Pentacles. Now, what is the 10 of Pentacles? So Pentacles is earth energy. We associate it with Virgo, Capricorn, and Taurus. And it's exactly what it looks like. It's the ultimate, when it's upright, it's like the ultimate fulfillment, material abundance. Pentacles represent, yes, money, but also like energetic. It's like I it's like you're happily ever after when it comes to the material world, both in like your home and your like money. It's financial security, and with that often coming like a security of like your energetic availability, like what you have to contribute in the world. And so um what comes before the 10 of Pentacles is the 9 of Pentacles, and that's a solo energy. It's like it shows like in the traditional Rider Waite Smith, it's like a woman standing by herself in this like abundant garden. She's got 9 pentacles and like just like a beautiful sort of like independent, self-made. I've got everything I need all by myself. I've done it by myself, and I'm able to maintain it by myself. And the whole idea would be that in order to get to the 10 of Pentacles upright, you would first, as an individual person, need to master the 9 of Pentacles, like because nines are how you're managing the energy of the suit alone. And I think that's where a lot of us might find ourselves. And especially if we believe that we're like, okay, I manage my finances by myself. Like I'm stable and like I can pay my own way and I can show up to a gathering and contribute my energy. Because that also, those are your pentacles as well. Like, that saying about the cost of anything is the amount of life you're willing to exchange for it. So, I mean, you do that every day when you go to work and you make money. That's like essentially what a job is. You exchange your life force for money so that you can go out in the world and like get goods and services. But sometimes you just show up and you're it can be looked at as like energetic currency. So when I look at this 10 of Pentacles in reverse and I look at these other cards, it suggests to me that whoever this message is for might should consider if this sort of like temperance being in reverse, maybe like you could stand to have a little bit more patience. Yeah, you are stable minded. You obviously have like clarity of thought when it comes to that, but maybe you're trying to force something a little bit prematurely. Maybe you assume that you've mastered 9 of Pentacles and you're like, why don't I have 10 of Pentacles? What is the deal? Well, maybe revisit what your understanding of 9 of Pentacles is, like what your understanding of like mastering pentacle energy by yourself really looks like. Maybe it goes beyond financial stability, and it could how are you managing your energetic currency by yourself? Like when you're by yourself, do you try to force something like a little bit too fast? Like could you stand to be a little bit more patient? um and maybe if you go ahead and like go back to the 9 of Pentacles, you could have something that looks more like that um come more easily to you. But first, we're going to have to visit the ideas of temperance and get these straightened out in order to get to where we want to be here. So that's I know a lot for just these few cards, but I find it's a pretty clear message, especially if you're used to working with these cards. So I'm really interested to see how these are going to tie in. I'm going to go to the Herb Crafters tarot deck. We're going to start with the underlying energy of the Hija of Earth. And so, given everything I've just said about these cards, I find that going in this order um, really kind of pulls it together nicely. So, as I did remember correctly that this is meant to represent the Page of Pentacles in traditional tarot. Um, so, underlying energy here is Page of Pentacles. Um, and we're going to go to what this treatment in this show looks like, the Herb Crafters Tarot. It's a really, really neat deck. I'm going to see how they treat this. And pages are generally associated with like well, it's very Gemini energy, actually. It's playful. It could literally mean child, like a page could literally mean a child on the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. It shows like a child, a young person. So in the literal sense, it could represent a child, sort of like that novice energy of like a novice approach to like earth energy or pentacle energy. But also like playfulness. And that is very Gemini in archetypal nature. So here it says, Hija of Earth, or Page of Pentacles, return to a beginner's path, light-hearted as a blossom, grounded as a sheltering tree. Be flexible as you build your future. A child weaves a wattle fence with linden branches around a small garden. It is haphazard and uneven, but effective and useful. She has protected the sage that wants to jump beyond its own borders. A large linden tree stands nearby, covered in cream-colored flowers. The Hija of Earth loves to take on new responsibilities. She approaches her duties with the earnestness of a child, proud to do her part. When faced with difficult work, she chooses reliable allies as companions. She knows that linden is more than just a lovely tea. Like the branches of this beloved tree, she is flexible, willing, and strong. She learns to protect her resources by surrounding them with what she loves. Just as linden flowers provide medicine of joyfulness, she takes on her task with a playful air. And I think that's a really interesting underlying energy, given everything that I suggested this simple spread right here um, had going on. Maybe going back to beginner's mind. After all, you are in a stable frame of mind, whoever this is for. And maybe you have mastered Nine of Pentacles upright, but maybe that's not the full picture. Maybe there's a playfulness missing. Like maybe you need a little bit of levity. I find this to be a really apt message for the Gemini new moon. Gemini new moon is about planting new seeds, and the Gemini archetype is playful. It like um in the little 25-minute video I did earlier, I specifically referred to the energy. If you really want to harness it like deliberately, um use it as like adding levity to whatever you have going on, because that's what the nature of it is. It's fast moving, and like the thing about Gemini energy is like whatever you don't like about the status quo right now, it's so fast moving to where the energy is ever changing for better or for worse. Like don't get too attached to what exists today, because it could shift tomorrow for better or worse. So it's very much of the nature of like take things with a grain of salt wherever you can and as much as possible. Approaching a beginner's mind, it like kind of humbles you, and it allows you to like the hidden depths. It allows you to see things that you might have missed. Like go back to the beginning, and I think you might find some sort of like healing there. So that's our underlying energy for the herb crafters. Let's go to the Madre of Air, Queen of Swords, that would be, and see why this came out. Motherwort. Quick bite, deep nourishment. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Be fierce in service to the heart of the matter. A stand of motherwort towers over other vegetation. A woman grabs a bowline in one hand and grasps a large clump of stems in the other. The prickly seeds scratch her, but she tightens her grip and begins the harvest. She vigorously cuts away at the dense forest of motherwort. The Madre of Air is led by a deep sense of integrity. She cuts right to the point, even if it hurts. Like bitter motherwort, her words may sometimes be hard to swallow, but clarity opens the path to truth. She knows her values and makes quick, rational decisions without doubting her choices. Just as motherwort softens those with a spiky disposition, the Madre of Air diffuses tension with others using humor and wit. She soothes unchecked emotions and allows common sense to come forward. She understands that execution of purpose comes best from a calm, loving center. Embrace your sharp edges. They create the container for your tenderness. I really like that. So, um, that's kind of encouraging because this is, like I said, the equivalent of the Queen of Swords. So you've got two upright sword energies here. You've got the minor arcana of the Six of Swords, and then you've got the court card, the Queen of Swords, and the queens in the court cards I generally take as representing the subjective feeling of the suit. So like whereas the King of Swords you might interpret as like the um the initiation of the energy of the suit. It's like um the objective energy of truth and communication of the truth. The Queen of Swords is like the subjective feeling and experience of it. So, this suggests also like a really good state of mind, like somebody who understands the value of like a clear mind in um navigating new territory and this underlying energy of like the beginner's mind when it comes to earthly energy, like pentacle energy, maybe going back to the basics in a way that you clearly, as this upright Queen of Swords and upright Six of Swords, clearly are capable of getting there intellectually and putting emotions aside. And like, the quick wit and humor aspect, that's just another way of saying levity. Like I said, Gemini energy encourages you to look at the wide variety of circumstances you're working with and like don't take it too serious for your own well-being and see if you can't work out some of these energies a little better, your fire energy and your patience and like getting to that ultimate 10 of Pentacles, that happily ever after. So we're going to wrap it up here with going to our Kim Krantz deck. We're going to start with the shapeshifter as the underlying energy and see what she offers here. So the shapeshifter, the trickster, the elusive, the formless. Like I said, the trickster is synonymous with Mercury. That's Gemini energy. The shapeshifter has a love of theater, games, and trickery. Its energy appears as one thing, only to reveal a more complex story below the surface. The shapeshifter is within all of us to some degree. It is the side of ourselves that is slippery, non-committal, and experimental, and longs to dismiss the rules. We need its energy to adapt to the ever-changing landscape of our existence. When the shapeshifter card appears, it's important to imagine you are looking at life through a kaleidoscope rather than a single focused lens. At any moment, the scene may shift, revealing a more enchanting vision than you imagined. Be wary, though, as the allure of the kaleidoscope can leave you exhausted and yearning for solid ground. Dancing long term with the shapeshifter requires a central pillar of integrity that links us back to our center. And when this energy is in its light, higher vibration, you would describe it as vibrant, adaptive, humorous. Again, humor and levity coming up as a theme here. When dark, you might say distorted, this energy manifests as charlatan-like, people-pleasing, and trickery. Little side note, the shapeshifter is related to the mask, which is another card in this archetypal deck. Notice if these cards come up together in one reading. If so, you're in the realm of heavy theater, illusion, possibly deception. Luckily, we don't have that here. The ultimate shapeshifter works undercover in service of the greater good. The diminished shapeshifter becomes a people pleaser. I really like how it immediately goes into the duality of the Gemini archetype. I mean, it couldn't be more on point as an underlying energy here, but also just like any energy, like every energy has a polarity. Um, and I find that the more you try to reject that reality, the more you're going to end up projecting, you're going to act out the polarity that you're insisting does not exist within yourself, and like sort of projecting it onto the others in your life. So, I think that approaching like the lightness of Gemini energy and the playfulness and the curiosity, it's like very both and in its nature. It's sort of like acknowledging like this sort of mischievous playfulness, but still with the greater good in mind. Like, and I think we all understand that over time with our friends, like the difference between like playful jokes and like things that are just like kind of mean spirited at their core, but veiled as like a joke. I mean, we can all recognize that coming from somebody. And so the shapeshifter is like, you know, Gemini, mutable air, adaptable air. You place a Gemini, strong Gemini archetype in a crowd, and it's a shapeshifter. That's its point of pride. That's its strength. But um, in a distorted sense, it can become duplicitous. It can become people pleasing. It can be playing both sides. Um, Not even for personal gain necessarily, but just for like the almost like morbid entertainment of it. That's interesting, an interesting contrast. Like the distorted Libra archetype is often characterized as like sort of like playing both sides as like a means to be liked by everybody, almost like being preoccupied with how it's seen. It's like kind of opportunistic in its distorted side, but like the distorted Gemini energy and the duality of that is more of just like um almost duplicitousness for just the like entertainment sake of it, just for the mental stimulation of it. So, like I said, just like any archetype we all have all of these within us. But I would say because of the strong buildup of the planets right now in this Gemini new moon energy, and this being a collective reading, I think this is a very poignant message for anyone coming across it right now. So we're going to finish up with the poet. We're going to see why this card came out. The poet, the artist, the witness, the truth teller. The poet's work is to feel immensely and not be afraid. They must seek out truth in the darkest corners of the world and carry it back for all to see. This unique capacity resides within us all, regardless of our relationship to creativity. When the poet energy is present, there is a call for deep honesty and reflection, for seeing the big picture within the little one. The poet rides effortlessly between the personal and universal. It's possible that others may not seem to listen or care about the poet's work, but do not be discouraged. The words of the poet ring true for centuries to come, soothing the wounds of despair and violence that captivate our world. The poet's work is never finished. Find your voice and trust that the wind will carry it. When light, this energy can be considered clairvoyant, wise, and timeless. When distorted or dark, harmful words, sharp tongue, thwarted creativity. That's interesting because those the dark or distorted manifestation, harmful words, sharp tongue, thwarted creativity. In terms of the traditional tarot, that would literally be Queen of Swords in reverse. Anytime you get Queen of Swords in reverse and you're trying to describe the energy of that to somebody, that's sharp tongue, harmful cutting words. Um, but I don't think that that's what we're working with here because we had this in the upright. So we're going to go with clairvoyant, wise, and timeless. The poet is related to the shaman and the bridge. These archetypes hover in the meeting place between the everyday and the sacred. It's likely there's a poem or poet that was meaningful to you at a young age. Revisit and reread it now. Be open to its message. And that concludes our new moon in Gemini read. So, to review, all of our underlying energies. Why are we here at this reading? We've got themes of self care, tend to your garden. We've got this Page of Pentacles or Hija of Earth, return to beginner's mind. We've got the Shapeshifter, the light and dark of adaptability and sort of maintaining that balance, using your shape-shifting and adaptable qualities for the greater good, and always being mindful of how it can become distorted. And then our Ten of Pentacles reversed, sort of maybe letting go a little bit with maybe a fixation on what your idea of this is. And by doing that, taking some steps back and returning to beginner's mind, like adding a little levity, adding playfulness, the understanding of temperance, and how the way something looks today might seem different the very next day. But you would have to sort of let go a little bit and trust in the truth of the ebb and flow of energies, like how things are always shifting. Just the principle of like having something that's in the challenge position. It's not quite like this, and it's not quite like that. Um, but maybe just being introduced to these concepts, maybe by the end of this reading, this energy has already turned up right. Maybe all you needed to do was have it be presented to you from a different point of view, sort of beginner's mind. And it's interesting what a stable mind and like quick wit and humor, how that can shape your actual material reality and like your energetic resources for the better. So I hope this was helpful to you, and enjoy your Gemini new moon energy. And like I said, I appreciate you being here. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would visit the channel page and hit subscribe. Until next time, take care of yourselves.